We all float down here. That's a nice boat, Georgie. Take it. That's a nice Georgie. Take it. So I saw it the very first day it came out. You should expect no less from me, right? Actually, it wasn't even the first day. I went to the midnight showing. So I guess it was kind of the first day. Anyways, I go with my mom because she's the only one that's not terrified. Which, by the way, she always falls asleep during movies. She actually stayed awake this entire movie, actually. We're walking out of the theater, she says, oh, you should do an it tutorial, because you already have his hair. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you already have red hair, he has red hair. I'm like, you just call me it? She's like, well, you're pale. And then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, oh my God. I love how this turned out. She was right. Now, I swear to you, in most of my videos, I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna be this for Halloween. I don't know what I'm gonna be now. I mean, as always, all the products I use say be listed somewhere on the video. Also, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to ask me in the comments below. So I already covered my eyebrows using a washable glue stick and some concealer. I'm then starting off by painting my entire face white, including my ears. Go ahead and prime those lids, both your top and bottom. I'm then surrounding that primer using white eyeshadow. To begin layering color, I'm first applying a light gray shadow on my lid and basically surrounding my eye. Make sure you layer plenty of gray under your eyes. I'm sure that searching for food in sewers is quite exhausting. I'm then repeating the same process, gradually adding darker gray eyeshadows and black to the outer corners. Using bright red eyeshadow, I'm then layering that onto my lid, generally around my eye, and using an angled brush underneath to add it. We want this red to look a little more muddy. Go ahead and line your eyes. I did mine using a cat eye shape, and with these darker colors surrounding my eyes, plus my eyebrows being off, it helps give more of a sunken in eyeball, evil looking effect. I'm also continuing this liner underneath my lower lash line. To add some expression to this guy, I'm using a light gray eyeshadow and an angled brush. I'm first creating the effect that my eyes are a little more sunken in by contouring around the inner corners of my eyes. I'm also adding some slight menacing wrinkles around my nose and sketching in some very, very light eyebrow lines. Keep in mind, they're not actual eyebrows, they're more eyebrow wrinkle lines. Just like my eyes, I'm going in and darkening it using a darker gray eyeshadow, and for the smaller areas using a detail brush. Depending on your expression, these eyebrows make you permanently look astonished by everything. Now, to be honest, could you have just painted around these sections? Yeah, but I decided that I was gonna wipe off my nose and wipe off my mouth when I got around to it. It was just easier for me. I'm not necessarily a fan of bright red, I never have been, so I mixed together red and black body paint to create the color for my nose. Like I said a second ago, I'm also going to remove the area from my mouth. I used a Q-tip to kind of sketch it out, which I'm just removing this using water, by the way. And at first I was sketching in each individual tooth, and I'm like, you know what, no. This is gonna take way too long, so I decided to take cream body paint and just glob in my teeth, both top and bottom to begin with. Somewhat of an idea, not perfect, but that's okay. I then took that cream color and mixed in a little bit of brown to create the teeth that are going to be underneath. That way I can A, separate them from the other ones when I'm trying to put them together, and B, they will already be shaded. I then added more brown to create the third layer of teeth underneath that. Now I'm sure you can see what I mean by now by saying that everything just looks like a giant blob and they're very difficult to separate upon initial painting. I shaded each front tooth using a very light brown body paint to help separate them. To continue to separate them before you get too confused with the different layers, I'm using a black eyeshadow to shade all of the underneath teeth. To further separate them even more, now this is where things start to come together. You're like, okay, I can see the teeth now. Go in with the tiniest brush that you can possibly find and use black body paint to separate each tooth. I suggest outlining all the teeth before you fill in the rest of the black for your mouth, or trust me, you will be very confused. You can then create the thicker black outline around the teeth and fill in the rest of your mouth black. I also made the decision to continue with that black body paint and lightly outline the top of each tooth. And because everyone loves some good old clown slobber, I added some white body paint to each tooth to give it a highlight. To create his lips, I mixed together a lot of black body paint with red and just outlined around the entire mouth. I also decided to make the decision to create the lips in the shape of the top teeth because I thought it looked cooler. When you get to the bottom lip, you can then add a regular red body paint highlight to the center of it. To make your bottom lip more three-dimensional, I'm then adding black body paints on both the top and underneath it, as well as highlighting the rest of the lips using a regular red body paint. To finish the lips, I added white body paint as a highlight on the lower lip and around the lips. to create the wrinkles surrounding your killer smile. I used gray eyeshadow and sometimes a little bit of a darker gray eyeshadow to create the lines around your mouth as well as in your smile lines. I also decided not to paint the red lines on my face immediately because I knew I still had to put contact lenses in. I continued the white body paint down onto my neck so there wouldn't be a weird skin tone change, and filled in the area where the ruffles are going to be using that same cream color body paint that we did for the teeth. I also decided to make the rest of my body more pale by just adding white body paint with no water onto my skin. Using a light brown eyebrow marker, I'm then basically just making squigglies. These squigglies will then become a ruffle, a very scary ruffle collar. Underneath each dip, I'm then using brown eyeshadow to create some shading underneath each ruffle. Here's me being very annoyed, not realizing that my camera wasn't recording when I was doing this entire section. But that's okay because you know what, to be honest, this little section is what I did on the rest of the section. And on the edges of each side where the ruffle goes up, you're just gonna create a shaded line going up. I then repeated this process using a dark gray eyeshadow. And in the deepest part of these sections, I added a little bit of black eyeshadow. Once I popped in my contacts, I added my red lines on my cheek, being sure to follow that wide smile cheek line, as well as that little bit of a division it would create on that wrinkle on your eyebrow.